Alright, hopefully you'll be able to hear me a little bit. It's been a long night. So what we ended up doing is we got a 100 feet of 1-inch line, put a foot valve on it, ran it down to the river, and then the theory is you fill that line up with water, then you purge your tank, flip on the pump, and whoop, sucks the water up and away you go. Well, 4, maybe 5 hours later, I don't know, still wasn't working. Just would not maintain suction. It would, the pressure gauge was coming up to 30 pounds, and that was it. It was just croaking, dead solid. So finally, the friend of mine that was helping me with this had to go back home because he was shot. This poor guy's been working on this for 3 days now. I mean, not this exact thing, but he put the pump in for me because I had to work, and I could not get out of it. Fridays and Mondays are not good days for me. We're short a guy at work and bunches of other stuff that really is inconsequential to my conversation. Anywho, what we ended up doing is I had another friend of ours came over, and he was like, "Well, it's got to be the pump." And then our friend that put the pump in originally, he says, "I think it's the pump too." He says because it, even though it's a brand new pump that he bought and just put in, he says maybe it was just a bad one from the factory. It happens. So he ended up, I was working with my stepson, because my stepson was there till late last night, and we were there, and as he's priming the pump, he says, "Can you hear that?" And I said, "Can you hear what?" He says, "Can you hear the tss?" I said, "Dan, I've got tinnitus in my ears. I always hear psst." He says, "I can hear a vacuum leak." Sure as crud. There's a vacuum leak in one of the new T-fittings we put in. I didn't get the T-fitting secured all the way. And tighten that up. All of a sudden the gauge starts going, coming up. I'm like, holy crap. So I went through, double tightened all the fittings. And there we go. We purged the air out of the system and got it going. Normally, this would be I gotta switch arms because my right shoulder's shot. Normally, that would be the end of my story. But what ended up happening beyond that is we got 3 hours worth of nice, powerful, solid water. It's just like better than new, in fact, because my other pump was definitely going. I mean, we had to be replaced either way. So we ended up taking, and after the 3 hours, I had left the water going on a stream. I had probably about an 1/8 inch stream to a 1/4 inch stream. I'd buried the line out in the snow because snow's a better insulation than just having a bare pipe out on top of the ground. So I spent several hours burying the line. And apparently the trickle was not enough because the temperature dropped down to probably 18 degrees last night. So all of a sudden I could hear the pump starting to sputter again. And that was it. The line froze. The water just wasn't moving quick enough. And when I turned it on full blast in an effort to get it going again, it just wasn't happening. So what I ended up doing is shut the pump off, disconnected it, opened the purge valve up top, went down to the bottom and took the foot valve off. And the foot valve, in case you don't know what that is, at the bottom of the pipe, you have to get your pump up on top of the hill. You got your foot valve down on the bottom, and it's basically a little valve that lets water come in, but it doesn't let water go out. So once you fill that line, the pump doesn't have to keep dragging it all the way up each time. You don't have to reprime it each time because that line is full of water. Anyways, took the foot valve off, hoping that I could drain that line down at least so it wouldn't be completely frozen, so we could at least run hot water through it or something to thaw it out later. I knew that the pump was good and everything was functioning fine there. So long and short of that one is I just wanted to get the line clear after that, and there's just no way. So I gave up, shut it down. This was probably about 10:30 last night. And then my friend came back over again this morning at about 5. How's that for dedication? And he ended up taking, and he said, "Well, we'll cut that line. We'll put a union in it. That way we can take that line off and we can put it over in his garage because his garage is heated. And then what we can end up doing is he's going to put a T-fitting down at the bottom down by the foot valve, so we can put a little sump pump in there and pump water into that line once we get the line filled, because otherwise we're pouring it with a funnel underneath the house, filling that line all the way up. And you got 100 feet of 1-inch pipe. I'm not a math wizard, but it's a lot of water. So at least we'll be able to use the pump and send that up through. Anyways, that's my long-winded way. I want to cut this off before I hit 6 minutes, which I think I'm very close to. Say hi to the boys. Yeah. Boys were all distressed because this has not been a good weekend for them. They didn't get to do anything, and they got yelled at about every 5 minutes because I was practicing my repertoire of expletives. It's been a weekend.